Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In today's session, we are going to proceed about research data analysis. First of all, remember to subscribe if you are tuning this video for the first time. It is your contribution. So let us continue. In the last session, we were looking data collection method, where we see there is observation. When you are collecting data, you go there and you observe what you are going to search. So you have to focus a group. You go for everyone, for the people who are in groups, and you have to ask information about what you are searching. An example, when you are in class, we have group 1, group 2. So you have to focus for each group. You have to go in group 1 and you collect the data. The next data collection method is a personal interview, one-on-one. Here you go by one. You can use telephone interview, phone interview. So here for personal interview, you go for the person and you ask some question you have prepared before. The next thing is telephone interviews or survey. You have to call someone to ask information personally. The telephone interview, you call and he reply what you are searching by phone. For personal interview, the person is replying you face to face. When you are doing survey, you can use like Google form to ask question, but that question must not be long. So because the interviewer can be against the interviewee, so interviewer so can also be able to answer that question when that question is short. So another method is self-administrated. So here for self-administrated, the person is in the office, so you can send an email for the persons and ask some questions about what he or she is searching. Here another thing is the survey. Data collection strategies. Here no one best way. Decision depends on what you need to know. Here you cannot say there is a one way best way. There is many ways you can collect the information. So they say that no one best way. Decision it depends on what you need to know, numbers or stories. Another thing depends on where the data resides. It can be an environment, files, or people. Another thing is the decision. Best way can be depends on resources and time available. If you have time, the time, so you can collect that information. That can be a good strategy. If you have many resources, you can get information. Another thing is the complexity of the data to be collected. If that to collect the information is somehow complicated, so it will be difficult to say this is the best way. Intended forms of data analysis depend for your forms you have. So I will proceed. The major techniques for collecting data are questionnaires, interview, observation, document analysis. So each method have advantages and problems. An example: questionnaires and survey are open to self-report biases, such as respondents tend to give social desirable answers rather than honest opinions. Observations are susceptible to observer bias, such as seeing what one wants to see rather than what is actually there. Meaning that seeing what you want to see rather than what is actually there, you have see that is a disadvantage or advantage. So use more than one data collection method because of the bias inherent in any data collection method. It is best to use more than one method when collecting diagnostic data. You have to use more than one. Don't use one method. The data from the different methods can be compared, and if consistent, it is likely the variable are being validity measured. So let's continue. The second techniques, it is demographics. Information about the people you are gathering data from is important. Collect the specific demographics necessary. Some example: age, gender, income level, status. When it comes for status, either you are student, you are teacher, you are visitor, you are major general, and other things that depend for your status, you are soldier, you are employee, you are employer. Be careful not to collect demographics that are not specific to a data collection purpose. You have to be careful when you are collecting by using the demographic. When you say for demographics, how people are increasing or decreasing, how to look for gender, age, income level, and the status. So data collection methods we are still on. Here we have questionnaire are one of the most efficient way to collect data. They contain fixed response questions about the various features of an organization. Those online or paper and pencil measures can be administered to large numbers of people simultaneously. They can be analyzed quickly. We are saying advantage of this questionnaire. They can be analyzed quickly. They can be easy to be feedback to employees. That is an advantage. Questionnaire can be standard based on common research, or they can be customized to meet the specific data gathering need. We'll continue for here. We are still questionnaire. Questionnaire, they have down back. They have disadvantage. When you are using questionnaire, there is some disadvantage you are going to meet with. Responses are limited to the questions asked in the instrument. Here the response are to be limited because the questions you have asked when you are using the many questionnaires, you are going to get the many response. When you are using a rare questionnaire, you are going to meet with a problem of limited response. They provide a real opportunity to the problem for addition data or ask for points of clarification. Here there is this questionnaire. It's provide a little opportunity to the problem for additional data, because when you have a questionnaire, you planned a question to be asked. That question is specific. You cannot add your opinion if you are someone who are answering that questionnaire. They tend to be impersonal. So here, for questionnaire, it requires person be there. Often elliptical response biases tend to answer in a social acceptable manner. When someone asking a question and they give you a questionnaire, you are going to answer according to what for what you accept, what you need, or you can give something which not related. That is the problem of questionnaire. When you come here for interview, put the response at so what we are looking here at is advantage, so don't miss. Put the respondent at ease, so he expressed his opinion beneath punctual, cultural, friendly, and biasy and permissive. They permit the interviewer ask the respondent direct questions. The further programming and clarification is possible as the interview proceeds. Interviews offer flexibility, which is invaluable for gaining private view and feeling about the organization and spotting new issues that emerge during the interview. So for interview, we are proceeding. Interview may be highly structured, resembling questionnaire, or highly unstructured, starting with general questions that allow the respondent to read their way. Interviews are usually conducted one-to-one, but can be carried out in groups. Group interview can save time and allow people to build on other response. Group interview may however inhibit respondent answers if trust is an issue. Interviews focus groups. Here we are still on an interview, but here we are going to focus groups. As I have said, you can focus 4 groups that have the people like from 10 up to 15, not more than 15. Another unstructured group meeting conducted by manager or consultant. A small group of 10 or 15 people is selected representing a large group of people. Assume in a class it is 103 students. So as a person who are going to conduct interview by focusing group, you are going to select like 15 people to come to represent that class. It is what we call sample. Group discussions is started by asking general questions, and group members are encouraged to discuss their answer in some depth. The richness and validity of this information will depend on the extent that trust exists. They are drawn back to the interview or the advantage. They can consume a great deal of time if interviewers take a full advantage of the opportunity to hear a response out and change their questions accordingly. This focus group may consume a great deal of time. Personal biases can also distort the data. The nature of the question and the interactions between the interviewer and the respondent may discourage or encourage certain kinds of response. It is understandable. It takes considerable skills to gather validity data. It takes the considerable skills to gather the validity data. You have to be someone who have skills to gather that data which is validity, because the main bias is in that. So we'll continue about the observation. This is another method where observation, organizational behaviors in the function setting is one of the most direct way to collect data. Observation can range from the complete participation observation to a more detached observation using casual observing and noting occurrence of specific kinds of behavior. Advantage to observation: they are free of the biases. When you are observing, there is no bias because you are going for that place where something has taken place. If it is an accident, you go there. If you are going to discover something that have taken place there, you have to go there because there is no bias in that report. They put the questionnaire directly in touch with the behavioral questions. You are going to be in touch with that behavior. Where the practitioner is someone who are collecting that question, that data. They involve the real-time data describing behavior occurring in the present rather than the past. They are adapting that they can be modified depending on what is being observed. There is a problem with observation. When you are using this method of observation, you are going to meet with some problems. The first problem, difficulties interpreting the meaning underlying the observation. It's somehow difficult to interpret and get the meanings when you are doing observation. Observer must decide which people to observe. Choose time, period, territory, and event. When you are observer, you have to decide which people to observe. You have to choose a time. You have to select the territory. You have to select the events. Failure to attend to those sampling issues can result in biased sample of data. Yeah, it is true. So, observation protocol. Decision needs to be made on what to observe. Here there is an example. There is a decision you are going that is needed. Observe how manager and employee interact in the office. That is observation you can go take. That is an event. How manager and employees interact in the office. How you are going to go there and you observe. Here, when you are going there, you have to choose which place, what is the territories, when I'm going to observe. Observe who has lunch with who. Do manager and non-manager eat together? That is what you are going to need. Do executive have a private lunch area? You want to go now somewhere in organization, you have to observe this. is here data measurement is top number 3. Characteristics of good measures. The first characteristics is relevant. Is the measure relevant? Is the measure credible? Is the measure valid? Is the measure reliable? What is relevance? Does the measure capture what the matter is? What you are going to look. Does the measure capture what the matter? Do not measure what is easy instead of what is needed. We need something. You cannot go there to measure something which is easy. You have to measure what is needed, not measure easier. Credibility. Is the measure believable? That is a question. Will it be viewed as a reasonable and appropriate way to capture the information thought? Internal validity. How well does the measure capture what is supposed to? How well, how good does the measure capture take what is supposed to? When it comes for reliability, they say that a measure's precision and stability extent to which the sum result would be obtained with repeated trials. For data measurement scales of the measurements, you have scales that we are using when you are measuring data. We use nominal scale. Nominal scale classifies individuals, companies, products into categories where no order is implied. It involves a simple count of the frequency of the cases assigned to the various categories. When it comes for data, the data can be qualitative or quantitative. When you say quantitative, it is numerical. When you say qualitative, it is non-numerical. When I say non-numerical, it is not countable in a number. When you say, and also it can be numerical or non-numerical. So numerical can be nominal or ordinal, and non-numerical can be nominal or ordinal. Here for quantitative, that numerical may be in interval or ratio, like 3/4. So that is for nominal scale. When it comes for ordinal scale, they say that involves the ranking of individual attitude or item along the continuum of the characteristics being scaled. For example, if a researcher asked the farmers to rank 5 brands of pesticides in order of preference. Quantitative research, let's go. Here we are starting for quantitative. The next we are going to go for qualitative. Here there is advantage and disadvantage. When it comes for advantages of this quantitative, specific research programs. It is for specific research programs. Clear specific research program. Second, clear independent and dependent variable. It's have the clear. You have the numbers. It is high level of reliability. It is a minimum personal judgment because the number is a number. You cannot say 1 is a 2, 1 is a 1. Disadvantages: it is limited outcomes due to structured method. The outcomes is somehow limited and not unlimited. Disadvantages for second disadvantages: inability to control the environment. So it is an inability. So an expensive, it requires a large number of respondents. When it comes for qualitative versus quantitative research, for each they have characteristics. The characteristics is somehow the same, so what is how it is somehow different. When you come for research objectives, for qualitative, discovery of new ideas, insights and feeling. Here, research objectives is for discovering for new ideas, insights and feeling. For quantitative is for validity of factor, estimate, relationship. When it comes for the types of research, here is usual exploratory. Here is for descriptive and causal. When you remember when you are studying quantitative research, so that's what we did. We know the meaning to deeply. Types of questions. Here we use open-ended questionnaire for qualitative, and also we use semi-structured questionnaire or unstructured questionnaire or probing. Here they are mostly structured for quantitative. When it comes for the times of execution, here it will be executed for quantitative, it is for short time frames. Here it is for quantitative, it takes long, it is the usual long time frame. When you come for sample size, here for qualitative it requires small, for quantitative it requires large because it is a number. When it comes for types of analysis, here it requires subjective analysis and interpretive analysis. When it comes for statistical, here it is for statistic and descriptive and causal. When it comes for researcher skills for here for qualitative must be psychology, sociology, CB, social, and psychology again, social psychology. When it comes for quantitative, the skills required for researcher, it must be a statistic, so MR, DSS, decision model. When it comes for representativeness, here for quantitative it is limited, for quantitative it is good. Let's go for the types of data. The types of data, as we have seen in diagram before, it is two: quantitative data and qualitative data. Quantitative data is a numerical form, is a number. Data that can be precisely measured: age, cost, length, height, area, volume, weight, speed, time, and temperature. Harder to develop. Quantitative data is harder to develop, easier to analyze. Here for qualitative data that deal with description. Here the data that deal with description, it require some description. Data that can be observed or self-reported but not always precisely measured. Race structured, easy to develop. Can provide rich data, detailed and widely applicable. Is challenging to analyze. Is labor intensive to collect. Cannot use machine. It is for labor. Usual generate long reports. We are still about the types of data. Which data? If you, then use. Do you understand this? If this data is this, you have to use this. If you want to conduct a statistical analysis, you have to use quantitative because it is a number. If you want to be precise, you have to use quantitative. If you know what you want to measure, you have to use quantitative because you will get the number. If you want to cover a large group, you have to use quantitative, as you have seen in the characteristics. If you want to narrative or in a deep information, you have to use qualitative. If you are not sure what you are able to measure, you have qualitative. If you do not need to quantify the result, you have to use qualitative. Choice depends on the situation. Each technique is more applicable in some situations than other. Caution or techniques are subject to bias. Let's go for the types of variables. The dependent variable, independent variable, the moderating variable, and the intervening variable. Therefore, dependent variable, independent variable, moderating variable, and intervening variable. When it comes for each and each by separating, so they say that dependent, the variable to be explained, the effect. Here for dependent, it's dependent for something. The variable, it depends for something to be explained. Variable of primary interest to the researcher. Independent, the variable expected to account for the cause of. You can say independent is the cause of. Dependent is the effect. The dependent variable. So an independent variable is the one that influences dependent variable in either positive or negative way. The moderating variable is the one that has strong contingent effects on the independent variable dependent variable relationship. The presence of a third variable modifies the original relationship between the independent and dependent variable. Do you understand? Let me repeat. The moderating variable is the one that has a strong contingency effect on the independent variable and dependent variable relationship. It have the contingent effect between 1 and 2. This and this. So an intervening variable is the one that surfaces between the time the independent variable operate to influence the dependent variable and the impact of dependent variable. The cause and effect relationship between variables are not easy to infer in the social science. Causal relationship must meet their 3 criteria. This is 3 criteria must be met. So the cause has to precede the effect in the time. There has to be an implacable relationship between the cause and the effect. This relationship cannot be explained by other factor. That was the relationship. So data collection tools, participatory method, records and secondary data, observation, survey and interview, focus groups, diary, journal, self-reported checklist, expert judgment, the hard techniques and other. So thank you very much. In the next session we shall look this data collection for the secondary data, where we shall look for advantage and the disadvantage. May God bless you. Remember to subscribe for this channel. This is Tech TV. and share for others. My friend, praise.